What do we have here? What do we have here? Now that these two sissy boys have grown up. Which two? These two. Those two. Zero hedge. The old order is over. Trump to confront G7 as Macron plans on standing up to the U.S. president. You were just at the White House the other day, son. But you might have been a little too sissified for Trump, because Trump don't play that. Oh, and his counterparty over there? Mr. Trudeau from Canada. Another sissy boy. Update in... I always love that word. Reminds me of Unsolved Mysteries. Update. After airing JSNIP 4's broadcast, 5 people called in. Update. In comments made alongside Canadian PM Justin Trudeau and Ottawa French President Emmanuel Macron said that no head of state is eternal and that he stands ready to work with the 6 other group of 7 members if the U.S. wants to stand alone. Listen, you ever seen the movie Friday? There's a guy in there named Debo. Nobody messes with Debo, because Debo would whip that ass. I won. Give me my money. You what? I lost. Roll the dice. We got about $200, huh, Debo? I got about $200. Huh? See? Every time, Debo wins. Guess who Debo is on the world scene? I don't have my flag in here, but I'll check. USA. USA. And to be honest with you, we have been Debo, the bully. But on the other side of that, we have everything we need in this country. We really do. We don't need the G6, 7, nothing. To be honest with you, we have our own electricity. We've got our own oil. Boy, do we have an oil supply. What else do we need? We have farmland. We've got coasts, both sides. We've got coasts. I mean, we are ready to go. So we don't need them. You know what? Default. All of those rich oligarchs over there holding all of our bonds anyways. Default. Do it. Go ahead. Do it. Do it. Do it. Default. You say President Trump doesn't care. Maybe. But none of us are eternal, and our countries, the commitments taken, go beyond us. None of us who have been elected by the people can say all prior commitments disappear. It's just not true. There's continuity, I guess. Why not continuation? In state affairs, at the heart of international laws, sometimes we've inherited some commitments that weren't core to our beliefs, but we stuck to them because that's how it works for nations. And that will be the case for the United States. Like that for every great democracy, Macron said, quoted by Bloomberg. No, I'm pretty sure with Trump in charge, that's not exactly how it's going to go, sissy boy. Let me look at that. Look at these guys. Reminds me of Mr. Slave, a little bit, from South Park. Oh, Jesus Christ. Mr. Slave. Macron also said he doesn't exclude a G6+1 situation at the upcoming G7 meeting. Quote, maybe the U.S. president doesn't care to be isolated, but we don't care being with the 6 together. Macron said, adding they represent values, a global force, and an economic market. The French president then launched a thinly veiled threat. The combination of the 6 markets of the G7 group is bigger than the U.S. market, and cautioned Trump that there is no global hegemony if we can organize, adding that he will fight against hegemony. Ahead of what is shaping up as the most confrontational G7 meeting in the history, the first meeting took place in 1975, we reported that Germany Chancellor Angela Merkel already was setting the ground for the Toronto showdown among the world's top political leaders, where Trump will also be present, vowing to challenge Donald Trump on virtually every issue from trade to climate, and warning that the lack of room for compromise means leaders may fail to agree on a final statement an unprecedented event at a summit of the world's 7 most advanced nations. Speaking before German lawmakers on Wednesday, 2 days before the G7 summit starts in Canada, Merkel said that Trump's America First doctrine shows that we have a serious problem with multilateral agreements. You could say that again. Because this is America, and we should be for America. In China, you should be for China. In Germany, you should be for Germany. Not the one world order that your masters are shoving down our throats, or at least trying to. I'd love, of all the times, to be a fly on the wall in the Bilderberg meeting, the one that's happening right now, would be the one that I would like to pick. What are they gonna do about Trump? She added that failure to reach common ground could lead to the highly unusual step of host Canada issuing a concluding statement not agreed by all participants. You're going to make a statement that we didn't agree upon? Oh no. Merkel said she plans to speak to Trump specifically about trade at the G7. There will be some controversial discussions at the gathering, she told lawmakers. Germany will make sure that what was agreed on trade and climate at the last G7 summit and at a G20 meeting will be maintained in joint statements from the 2-day meeting in Quebec, if any are agreed. Commenting on Merkel's warning yesterday, we said that we doubt Trump will be too burned by that statement. And according to overnight news flow, that is indeed the case. And that if Merkel was hoping for or to soften Trump, or soften him up, I should say, by warning about the upcoming showdown between the U.S. and the rest of the world, she made a mistake, because Wires reports that President Trump is said to be planning on adopting a confrontational tone at G7 in response to the other 6 nations collectively pressuring him regarding tariffs, which of course is hardly a major discovery. After all, adopting a confrontational tone is what Trump does, period. However, now that it has been formalized, this may actually be a G7 meeting, traditionally boring and slow-moving, worth watching closely. Feel like we ought to get Bruce Buffer from the UFC to announce them. And standing in the right corner, 2 sissy boys, 0 losses, 15 wins, Donald the King Trump! That would be kind of funny. Where was I? May actually be G7 meeting, traditionally boring and slow, worth watching closely, if only for how the world's 6 most advanced nations, plus America, will try to contain the fallout from what will likely be the first documented failure of globalization. Meanwhile, Bloomberg reports that France joined Germany in warning U.S. President Trump that they will not sign a joint statement at the G7 summit, which President Macron warning that progress must be made on tariffs and other contentious issues. Macron has concluded that other G7 leaders must stand up to the American president, according to the Bloomberg source. Commenting on this particular threat, UBS chief economist Paul Donovan. Well, first of all, let me back up, because I want to say something. Macron has concluded that other G7 leaders must stand up to the president. You mean because all the sweet deals that all these other countries got on the backs of us Americans, including us losing a bunch of our jobs going to those other countries? Oh, sweet deals. You want that back. And Trump ain't going to give it to you. We want our country back, basically. And we want back that so-called middle-class life we used to enjoy. That's getting smaller and smaller by the freaking week. Anyways, and that guy went on this, Paul Donovan went on to say, the EU announced a list of products subject to a 25% consumer tax. Products all partially made in the U.S. ahead of tomorrow's G6 summit, plus one summit. Yeah, G6 plus one. They're not even calling it a G7. The G6 plus one. The globalists plus the hero. The bad guys plus the hero. That's how that's looked at. French President Macron indicated France may not sign the statement if the U.S. does not change its approach. Clearly, this is a terrifying threat, though it does rather emphasize U.S. isolationism, which markets may worry about. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow tried to play down the tensions on Wednesday, describing it a family quarrel. Daddy Trump spanking the two boys from France and Canada. You know, that old chestnut. And telling reporters that Trump is trying to fix this broken system, adding that he's sticking to his guns. He's going to talk to them, but the lines are open, and the lines are open. Good luck. The meeting this week will be by far the most dysfunctional G7, said Ian Bremmer, president of the Eurasian Group, a political risk consulting firm. The old order is over. What we are fighting over now, as the new order emerges, is whether the U.S. wants to have the most important seat at the table or not. Right now, the answer is no. We look forward to the fallout from the acrimonious meeting and how the market spins as bullish this particular instance of the U.S. and the rest of the world drifting further apart. Yeah, and that picture is a good picture. Globalists, and the outsider. I don't even want to look at these people because I'm not part of them. They stand for globalism, open borders, immigrants everywhere. And let's be clear when we use the word immigrant. Well, someone immigrated to the U.S. No, we're talking people who are immigrating from the worst parts of Africa, Northern Africa, etc., Middle East even, going into a modern society. They have no skills whatsoever. They don't speak a lick of the local language. It's an enormous tax burden. It doesn't make sense. But that's another story. Take care.